Hey everybody, this video is called Joseph's Son's Inheritance, and tonight we're going to continue our pass-through study here in the book of Joshua, looking at the inheritance of Ephraim and the west part of Manasseh. So we're going to look at Joshua chapter 16, verse 1 through 4, starting out. It says, "The lot fell to the children of Joseph from the Jordan by Jericho to the waters of Jericho on the east, to the wilderness that goes up from Jericho through the mountains to Bethel. Then went out from Bethel to Luz, passed along the border to the Archites at Adaroth, and went down westward to the boundary of the Japhletites, however you say that one, as far as the boundary of lower Beth Horon to Gezer, and it extended at the sea. So the children of Joseph, Manasseh, and Ephraim took their inheritance." So Joseph's territory was double, as it was given to his sons Manasseh and Ephraim, and they had inheritances stretching over a good portion of the central area in the Promised Land. In the borders of the province, they belonged to the sons of Joseph, settling on the west side of the Jordan. In verse 5 through 10, "The border of the children of Ephraim, according to their families, was thus. The border of their inheritance on the east side was Artaroth Adar, as far as upper Beth Horon. And the border went out toward the sea on the north side of Mikmethath, and then at the border went around eastward to Taanath Shiloh, and passed by it on the east of Genohah. Then it went down from Genohah to Ataroth and Naarah, reached to Jericho, and came out at the Jordan. The border went out from Tappuah westward to the brook Cana, and it ended at the sea. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Ephraim, according to their families. The separate cities for the children of Ephraim were among the inheritance of the children of Manasseh, all the cities with their villages. And they did not drive out the Canaanites who dwelt in Gezer, but the Canaanites dwell among the Ephraimites to this day and have become forced laborers." So verses 5 through 10 actually wraps up the chapter here. So as I've said at the end of last week, that these chapters are going to go by quicker for the next few ones. But the description here is of the land north of Judah's territory, from the Jordan west to the Mediterranean Sea. And these were the inclusion of some cities in the territory of Manasseh, since Ephraim's land was small compared to its population. And Ephraim didn't drive out the Canaanites from their area. And this is the first mention of fatal policy of neglecting to exterminate the idolaters that God called to be taken out. And so they violated God's command by not taking out the Canaanites, as they were called to do back in Deuteronomy 20 verse 16. And perhaps Ephraim was too focused on being on compromise, because they wanted to have the forced laborers among them. They saw something that they could get out of it. And maybe they didn't see anything wrong with their compromise. Maybe they thought, if I got the forced laborers, that it's good. But it will come back to bite them as they go into idolatry and more worship in the days of the judges ahead. And the Israelites, they disobeyed God for a false sense of peace and wealth. And how many times among us do we disobey God for a false sense of peace, or for something materialistic? A lot of our disobedience to God is of those two things. We don't either fully trust God and what God has said, so we lean on a false sense of peace, a worldly sense of peace, and then same thing with wealth. And this was their inheritance for Ephraim and West Manasseh. So I hope that you get something out of the book of Joshua. Like I said, these chapters for the next few are going to be a little bit more fast going through and drier. Many preachers will combine chapters 15 through 19, but we'll see you next as we're going to be looking at the land that's given to West Manasseh. So I hope you have a great rest of your night, and we are 2/3 of the way through the book of Joshua. God God bless.